How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to How to Game. Now today we are going to be covering the topic of how to stay alive, and I'm going to be giving you guys 10 tips on survival, on ways that you can stay alive, and they're going to help you better you in PvP situations and just generally staying alive. Now this is going to be a bit more of an intermediate to a beginner guide here, and that's actually going to be sequential. So I'm going to be going through the first 1 through 6 steps or tips, and they're actually going to be kind of stacking upon each other, and then the last couple are just kind of extra sporadic tips that I use in my book, and they help me win fights. So tip number 1, that is, do not fear PvP. You have to have some level of PvP or naval experience in this game, and you have to build that up at least. If you don't have it, you have to build it up if you're just starting, and you have to grow on that. You cannot run constantly. Now, for any of you that did not click off the video right now and you're still watching, I'm gonna build on that, and you're gonna see what I'm talking about as we go through this video, because it's a waste of your time to run. You could go to another server and get that done and make gold and get the same thing done in the hours that people spend running. If you would just get better at your naval combat, you don't have to be great at PvP, and I'll get into that later, but you can just naval people, you can out naval them. Now, if you're just looking for PvE, you can go play Alliance servers, but Alliance servers, people can still betray you, and that's what happens from time to time. So it's your risk. What I'm going to tell you, and a lot of people don't, portray it, and Rare doesn't portray it themselves in their previews, but Sea of Thieves is a PvP game. It is not PvE. It is PvE and PvP, the two mixed together to make one. Now, that's enough rambling about that, and we'll get on to the next tip, but I just wanted to make that very clear for some of you new players, because it's not very clear, and people really get messed up in the game when they come in because there's a massive learning curve. Tip number 2, understand your enemy. And now what I mean by this is, when you come across a new boat or a boat, you can ask yourself a series of questions. Now, for your more veteran players, you guys are gonna have a better understanding what I'm talking about, and for you new players, these questions are going to be your guide to determine whether, the enemy you're coming across is somebody that you can fight PvP, or you have to naval them, or maybe you have to go try for a keg play, so on. So what these questions are going to be are things such as, are they raising sails? If you're fighting a boat such as a brig or a galleon, are all the sails turning at once? Now, if they are, that probably means they're an experienced crew and they're talking and they're working together. Now, if sails aren't tacked in wind, they come up across you, they're all just kind of whatever, wherever, up, half down, whatever. They're probably not a very experienced crew. These are things that you can use to judge. Now, also, one other thing that I like to do, still to this day, is I would like to shoot over me or one of my crewmates and get a judge for what their skill level is, PvP wise, hand-to-hand combat. I like to see, one question I ask myself when I shoot over: did they shoot at me when I shot through the air? Are they watching ladders? Are they even aware when I boarded the boat? Those are things that are going to determine the skill level and the awareness of the players that you're coming across, and whether you're going to have to naval them, PvP them, go for a keg play. That's going to be your determining factor. Now, tip number 3, guys, know how to navigate the wind. And no, I don't mean run going upwind. That's not what I mean. Now, I have a small little diagram here that I'm going to share with you guys. And so on the right is the correct way, and on the left is the incorrect way. Now, I'm going to explain that to you. And let me take my face off there so you guys can see that. So on the right here, the reason I say that's the correct way is because, say we're fighting a brig. We're on the sloop over here. We're the sloop. We're fighting the brig. If we're going and we take out one of their masts and we're going into the wind head on, we're a slight bit faster than that brig, just a hair bit faster. We're the fastest. The sloop is the fastest going into the wind. Now, you can use this in different varying situations. With the other boats, it's not going to be quite the same, but you'll get the concept, and you can use it how you need. So what I'm getting at here is, say we're on a sloop and we take out a brig mast. We are way faster than that brig now on the right if you're going into the wind, because we're faster than them, and then now they just cut off a ton of speed. So you control the fight. Now, if we're on the left and you cut out a mast and they still have one and they're in wind, they could be staying at speed with you or taking shots at you, potentially getting your mast down, and that's going to put you at a disadvantage. And with the way Sea of Thieves players have been recently, with the people, everyone's been getting better. I mean, I've been having to use this tactic on the right going into the wind to fight. That way I control the speed of the fight. Speaking of fighting, tip number 4. Now, this one people are going to hate me for. Do not run an emissary if you fear PvP. Running an emissary is inviting PvP in. Now, I know people are going to disagree with that, but it is. It's curiosity. For me, when I see an emissary, I'm just curious what's on that boat. Curiosity kills, and I have to see what's on that boat. Now, sometimes I let people go, or I just don't sink them, but curiosity is what's going to get it. So if you don't want PvP, do not run that emissary. And even if you don't run an emissary, you may still very well get PvP'd. That's just the nature of the game. So that's why I say always be prepared. And that's why I'm teaching you to be PvPers, or at least understand and have a knowledge behind the PvP. That way you can defend yourself. Now, tip number 5, and you veteran players are already going to have established what you guys enjoy as your weapons. And tip number 5 is going to be run the Blunderbus. Understand the Blunderbus and use it to your value. The Blunderbus has knockback value and it has one-shot value. There's a point when a person comes up a ladder that they are locked in and you can instantly one-blunder them. You will learn this very fast because people will do it to you. Skilled and veteran players are going to one-blunder you all the time. And here we have a Lorena yelling at us, as always. Rudely interrupting us. But anyways, the Blunderbus is very OP and you guys are going to love it. It is a one-shot beast. Now, tip number 6. This one's a short one, but it's a critical one. And this one is going to save you in very crucial moments when your boat may be on second deck or almost sank and you have to get somebody off. It doesn't work as well on other boats. It's going to work best on the sloop and the brig. Not so well on the galleon because the galleon has quite a long ladder, but what you can do is you can throw a Blunder Bomb at your ladder and it will knock the enemy off. On the sloop, it works perfectly and almost flawlessly every time you hit it. Now, I don't recommend doing this all the time, but let's say your boat's half under, like I was saying. That might be a point when you need to use it, and it will help you deter the enemy. Otherwise, I truly do suggest killing them because then that puts the enemy at a downside. So you want to try and get that kill if you can, whether that's blundering them off and then sniping them later or whatever. You want to try and kill them to get them down a teammate. Now, tip number 7 goes along with the Blunder Bomb yet again. When you're on the broadside of a boat, if they're really hammering you, if you can manage to just get a Blunder Bomb off, that can make the difference and give you a breather that then you can start applying pressure to them. And it will make a great difference. Now, also, people may not know this, especially you newer players, but you can actually spin a boat or rotate them. Even if they're anchored, you can move their boat with Blunder Bombs. So you can hit one end of the boat and it will start to rotate them out of shots. So if you're ever broad and you can't get out of there and maybe master down, this might be the tactic you need. You can rotate the enemy boat out of shots and then you can then finish them off. And maybe you don't even have to get your anchor up or mast. It's just going to be another tip or critical thing that's going to help you out there and maybe keep you alive. Now, tip number 8, because you're sitting there saying to yourself, hey man, I've been listening to this video now for 6-7 minutes and you keep on talking about PvP. I can't shoot a gun. I can't do anything. You keep talking about PvP. Am I even gonna be able to play this game? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. I have the solution and you don't have to be a PvPer. You just have to understand how the PvPers work and what they're gonna do and be ready for it. Blunder Sword is an insane combo and it honestly will kill, and you'll be able to fight off a good, probably about 80% of the people in this game if you can do one thing. That one thing is Naval. Naval is the key to the game. You can actually sink a boat without even boarding them. You can use special balls, you can use Blunder Bombs to knock them off the boat, you can, demask them and just hammer them with cannonballs to death. You can one-ball them to death. I mean, it is incredible. Naval is the key to this game. A lot of people, even PvPers, you can tell, okay, these guys can fight, but they can't naval. And that's going to make the difference. If you can naval, that eliminates their respawn point and it's game over. So if you can't PvP, naval is your answer. Go practice, go drive around forts, understand how the cannonballs curve. I'll make a future video about how the cannonballs curve and all that, but yeah, you can do it. Naval is your answer. Now, tip number 9 is use harpoons. Harpoons will make the difference of you winning or losing a fight. It might get you out of a sticky situation, and you can actually use them, say going around an island and a boat's chasing you. You can use that harpoon and turn on a dime and maybe demask them and end them right then and there. Harpoons make the difference of winning or losing fights, and they make big play moments, and I highly suggest them, and I use them all the time, especially when solo sleeping. Tip number 10 here, and you guys aren't going to get to see my beautiful face anymore, but tip number 10 here, I'm going to show you guys and cue a couple audio sounds up of what is going on and some of the sounds that you're going to need to listen to in this game. So we're going to get right into those, and you might need to go play back through these again because these are going to be the sounds that you need in order to stay alive, including boarding the boat, people shooting out of the cannons, explosions, etc. All the above are going to be here in the next minute. Lastly, if you've made it this far, I would love to hear if you have anything to add to any of those tips, and if you found anything helpful, I would greatly appreciate a like. It will help spread the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one, and you guys have a good one.